It was a weekend full of upsets, and amongst that was pushing Major League Soccer's number one seeds in the East with Miami and the West with LAFC. Both got forced into a game 3. Did you see that coming, Jason?
I did not. I did not. I was watching that match in Atlanta. I think we talked about this last week, Robert. We said, which one were you more interested in? Which one would you watch if you had to pick one? Columbus going to Red Bull Arena, down a game, trying to get back and repeat as champions, or Inter Miami, Lionel Messi and his crew going to Atlanta, 70,000 people expected in that building with Atlanta's season on the line. And I picked Miami, and I think I was vindicated in my choice, Robert, because that game had a lot going on. It was interesting. It was dramatic. It had energy to it. Obviously, in the end, Atlanta finds the goal from Jean de Silva to win the match and push the series back to Fort Lauderdale. We're now Inter Miami season, and their chance at a double is on the line in the first round. I mean, that's incredible drama. That was amazing, and I didn't see it coming. I did not.
No, that crowd was spectacular in Atlanta too. A sellout, or very near sellout, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It was good to see. It was back in the days of Tata Martino era, in a way of, I had, the echoes of Almiron and Joseph Martinez.
Yeah.
Seeing the scenes down there. And the winner, Jean de Silva, his stat line absolutely hilarious. 1 minute played, 1 shot taken, and 1 goal scored.
Sometimes when a player scores a goal, dramatic or otherwise, and they take their shirt off, and everybody knows that the rule is yellow card immediate for taking off your shirt. Sometimes you're like, God, man, what are you doing? Don't do that. You're just hurting yourself. Maybe that's going to be an issue down the line. Jean de Silva had every right in the world. And not just because the guy was incredibly physically fit, but because he had scored that goal. Did you see Uncle Arthur and Garth Lagerwey going nuts in the box? Uncle Arthur, who can barely get his arms up anymore. Shout out to Uncle Arthur, latter stages of his life, but he was feeling it. Energy was on 11 at Mercedes-Benz. And, if you're neutral in that situation, right? If you're watching that game as somebody who doesn't have an interest in whether or not Miami proceeds or Atlanta proceeds, if you're just an American soccer fan, just an MLS fan, those are the moments we want. Those are the moments that will help sell the game. It's Atlanta going bonkers. Johnny Silva in the corner with his shirt off. Images that go hard. Uncle Arthur pumping his arms in the box. Garth Lagerwey jumping up and down. And Lionel Messi, the best player in the world, the greatest player perhaps of all time, clearly dismayed by the result and walking off morose back to the locker room, knowing that if he's going to win a title in MLS, because this is how we measure it, it's not the points in the regular season, and Leo knows this, it's that trophy at the end of the tournament, they have to win in Fort Lauderdale in game 3.
Credit to the TV crew, that those final few moments with the goal, and then they had the ISO shot when the lights turned out in the stadium with Silva shirt off, ISO shot. And then, like you said, the shots up into the boxes, that was just, that's epic television right there. And there was lots of just action and eventful moments throughout the entire game. And it started with the oddity that was Miami's goal. American veteran goalkeeper Brad Guzan looks, he caught a ball, looks to spring a quick counterattack. And then the ball came out of his hands. It kind of looked like a foul, but on replay, it wasn't a foul. It was an odd moment. Then the Miami player chips it and gets their 1 goal and gets ahead early. And that had quite a few people scratching their heads.
Yeah, look, it felt like a foul. It looked like interference on the part of Miami, but you go back and look at it, and it just seems to be, and I don't know that we have Brad Guzan explaining it in the aftermath, but it seems to me that Brad Guzan was going to take this quick kick. There's a lot of bodies around him in the box. A Miami player kind of moves on his left side, kind of from behind. My guess is the peripheral vision of Brad Guzan caught the Miami player coming that way. There was just this hesitation, like maybe I'm going to run into him. Maybe he's going to try to take the ball from me. I've got to adjust. And then what ends up happening, and Brad Guzan this is not unusual for him. He dropped the ball in Montreal and nearly put Atlanta United in a bad situation in that play-in game that even got them to this moment. And I think he just dropped the ball. I think he just was like, what am I doing? And it was just a spastic moment that led to an easy goal for Inter Miami. And credit to Atlanta that was the only goal that Miami was able to generate on the day.
I saw a little bit of panic for the first time, or definite concern I've seen from Miami in this whole postseason, or just this late season run, when I think it was Moranchuk had a turnaround volley that Calendar had to tip onto the crossbar. That was an incredible moment. Just the athleticism to turn and get his leg that high and rocket that at it. That Miami definitely had the look of like we're really in a battle here. This isn't going to be easy. And then there were some moments Miami going forward too. They did create some chances.
Yes.
Guzan had a couple of saves, but there was one moment I think Suarez took a corner and went all the way over to the far side of the box, and Messi one time volley from the corner almost snuck in. Like there were some spectacular moments throughout this entire match. Like there was bang for the buck in Atlanta on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I mean even the goal, from Atlanta, the first one from Williams, that's just a perfectly placed ball that the center back gets on the end of to give Atlanta United the equalizer after Martinez had scored the strange goal from Guzan's drop. Lionel Messi wasn't sharp. He wasn't sharp in this game, and he didn't. There were moments, but I think
I mean, there was also an offside goal right before the winner too.
Yeah, there were some things that happened at Atlanta United. But let's just remind everybody. And I'm watching I say that Lionel Messi wasn't sharp. I'm watching him play a cross-field ball about 40 yards on a dime. So, he can obviously do those things even when he's not having his best day in front of goal. This is a team in Atlanta that seems to be, you mentioned that whether or not Red Bull were Columbus's bogey team, Atlanta's got something when they play Miami. Right? And coming into this series, they hadn't lost to Miami this season. And I'm not sure there's anybody else in the league that could have said that. So, they for whatever reason, Atlanta isn't scared. They're not awed by the Barca boys or anything that Miami brings to the table.
Before we move on, do you think that Miami has anything to worry about at home next weekend?
Yeah, I think it will be a difficult game. I mean, I could very easily see it going to penalties. I mean, I think there will probably be goals. I imagine it won't be a goalless draw through 90 minutes. Maybe like, I don't know, 1-1, 2-2, something like that. And then we go to penalty kicks. I could very easily see that. I still think Miami's going to get through, but I'm not feeling as confident about that before the series started. I'm not feeling as confident after watching what happened in Columbus, or to Columbus, rather.
Switching over to the Western Conference, the number 1 seed in the West, Los Angeles Football Club, pushed to a game 3 themselves. Vancouver Whitecaps take them to the woodshed 3-0. Ryan Gold, the Scotsman, on fire, gets the winner here, and that was his 6th goal in 4 games.
No, he's on fire. He's very good. Vancouver was never going to be a pushover. I mean, LAFC, we know what they can do on the break. We know that they have weapons. I came into this playoff season thinking, all right, LAFC is pretty good, but I like the Galaxy a little bit more than LAFC. And I think both of them are flawed teams. I don't think either one of them you can say, well, they got everything working for them. There's some defensive questions for the Galaxy, for example. LAFC, if they don't get those opportunities on the break, are they as dangerous? Can they really break you down? Those kind of things. In this situation, Vinny Sartini is a very smart coach. He knows how to utilize the weapons that he has, which none of them jump off the page. Ryan Gold, it was probably under the radar a little bit more than he should have been this season. I don't know where he would have, you talk about your MVP candidates, 4 or 5 on that list, maybe. But had an incredible year, right? And I think that while I still expect LAFC to get through, it could very easily be the same kind of situation that I just talked about with Miami, where we end up with a very tight game. It's 1-1 going into the final stages of the match, and either there's a winner, somebody finds a winner, and I would bet on LAFC in that situation, but you don't know. And then again, penalty kick shootout. It is the great equalizer when we get to this place.
So the game threes coming up this next weekend, LAFC versus Vancouver in LA late Friday night, and then that Miami versus Atlanta decider on the Saturday. Responding to some comments, don't worry, Henry, we're coming to you. He's already said ciao, said we don't look like we're talking about the comments. He made note that Miami didn't look comfortable on the turf. And do you think that LAFC is good enough to make a full run?
No, I think he's talking about the Galaxy because he mentions LAFC, Columbus lost except for the LA, meaning the Galaxy. I mean, the Galaxy took care of their business, right? They didn't mess around. They went to Colorado and they thumped the Rapids. And I saw that Greg Vanney said they're going to have to schedule some sort of friendly or maybe intra-squad thing. They're going to have to play some sort of game that feels like an actual match between now and when they start the next round, because they don't get the third game, and then we have the international break, right? So their next match in this tournament isn't for a while, and it is a problem that Major League Soccer hasn't been able to figure out what to do about the November international break and how it sort of affects the schedule. I think Bruce Arena was on the record a couple of years ago when the Revs were the number one overall seed saying, hey, this stinks. This doesn't help us. How are we supposed to go win a title when we've got this long layoff? LAFC or LA Galaxy, rather, after Minnesota United had already won their series too, of course, they play Minnesota, the 23rd of November. I mean, do I have that right? That's a long time from now, Robert.
Yeah, you're right. It's 20 days from today.
20 days. That's a long way. Let's see. Henry also in here. We think it'll be a Miami versus LA final. I'm assuming he means the Galaxy again. You can clear that up for me, Henry. I do have Miami getting through. I just think that they are that good. And why would I doubt these players who have this experience winning Champions Leagues, lots of them, not all of them, of course, but several of them winning Champions Leagues and La Liga titles and those kind of things, World Cup titles in the case of Lionel Messi, and Spanish players too winning World Cup. So I think they're probably going to be fine. So I do think it'll be a Miami LA situation. Which LA team is a little bit up in the air, but the Galaxy look better to me.
Thank you for your comments, guys. The hot topic today, MLS proving to be extremely competitive in the postseason. The top seeds pushed to the brink. Game threes coming up this weekend. Be sure to like and subscribe. Morning Kick Around. That is the numero uno way to help us expand the show and make it bigger and bigger, make it grow and grow. The more viewers and the more participation, the